Hi everyone, this is Azita again, and this is video number 2 regarding how to maintain our joy and happiness in life while difficulty hits, and not to get broken down by it. So for those of you who haven't seen the video number 1, the concept is based on internal and external observation, and the point is to observe as opposed to merge or avoid the emotional response towards a particular difficult stimuli. Now in this video I am going to go more in details of how to do so, and details of the observation, internal observation, and also details of external observation, and what are the next steps to do so we make it actually possible for us to achieve our goal, which is maintaining joy. So I'm going to talk about the internal observation and go deeper in that, and then talk about the external observation and go more detail in that one. For the internal observation, as I mentioned, we try to observe what's happening with us. So the practical way of that would be like this. Something happens, it's horrible, it's very difficult, and we notice, we go in and we say, okay, I'm extremely scared, for instance, or I'm extremely sad, and I notice that my whole body is like tensed up. So that's the body sensation. And I notice or that I have a cold sweat on my face, and I notice that I'm constantly thinking. So that's the observation we talked about. But the next step is, after you observe that, then you've got to calm yourself down, because if you don't calm yourself down, then you can't get anywhere. You keep obsessing, or you keep doing what you're doing, and becomes a vicious cycle that the only result of that is being overwhelmed and completely destroyed by it on an emotional level, ultimately. So when you observe that these are the things I'm noticing, then I do something about it to make it less. Hopefully it's possible. You say, okay, what am I going to do? What are the things I can do right now to contain myself, to make this situation, this emotional response not to get worse? I can call such and such, I can talk to my therapist, to my friends, or I can assess if this fear I have is real or is part of my emotional response because of my history. So what is it I can do? So we go to the behavior. What is it? Is there anything I can do? And do what it needs to be done. On a practical level, you say, okay, I'm extremely sad. Let me talk to a friend of mine. I need somebody to be next to me. I need to talk to someone. Or my heart, I feel I'm completely tensed up. So what can I do right now? Maybe I can breathe. So I open up my muscles, the ones that are tensed up. So it breaks all these things you do, breaks the cycle, the vicious cycle that you go and it brings you down. So what can I do? The question is, what can I do at this moment to alleviate the pain and to contain myself? So you do whatever you need to do. You do whatever support you need to get at that time. Now, when you exhaust it, there is nothing else you can do, at least for that moment in time, and you have done everything, then that is where we go to the external observation, which I talked about. Now, in the process, not everything is black and white. So you might momentarily solve something. You might become anxious, talk to a friend, and the friend comforts you, or you pick up the phone, the friend is not there, and you're stayed with yourself with that tremendous anxiety you have. So there is nothing you can do at that moment, and that's the time that you shift from the internal experience you have regarding the situation at hand, shift to the external one, your environment, which I talked about in video number 1. So we assume that you are able to maintain that observation stance with the external environment you are in. Now, what do you have to do next? If you have done everything you could do at that moment, there is absolutely nothing else to do for you, then we go to the second step, which is you actively seek healthy joy. That's one thing you can do. You do certain activities, whatever activity that comes to your mind that creates joy for you. It might be walking, something that is completely away from what was happening at the time. So you're actually dissociating from the situation, at least momentarily, because you have done whatever you could at that moment. There is nothing else you can do. Please make sure you understand this, because if there is something for you to do, you must do it. Otherwise, it becomes unhealthy because the problem is still staying. I mean, the problem is staying, but there is nothing for you to do at that moment. Anyways, so you do whatever that brings you joy. One is activities that bring you joy. The other one is talking about another person's difficulty and sort of distancing yourself from what is causing pain for you, because we are part of a society. People have difficulties, and when we go to support and help another person, it helps us to have a little bit distance from our own problem, and it helps us regulate, it helps us calm down, because at that moment there is nothing else we could do. Either we have to wait, for instance, for a doctor to give us the results of our test, or we can't do anything. So that is the step. When you are in external mode, you are connecting with your environment, you're coming out from your internal experiences, internal emotional responses, and you're focusing yourself to external, and you do activities. Now, some people say, well, if something is happening right now, certain anxiety is hitting me, some kind of a disaster is happening right there, how can I go and have fun and dance and get involved with activities that bring me joy? That is it's something I can't do, because it's against the nature of things. I have to constantly think about it. Something has to come to my mind. If I have joy, it means I am avoiding, I am not attending to the problem, and I'm going to hit with disaster. This is one of the biggest problems that one person can have, because what is important to note is, as I mentioned, you have done everything. So for you, having joy at that moment is actually creating food for your psyche. It is not that you're avoiding it because you want to avoid it because you're scared. You already know things are tough. You already know on the background you have anxiety, sadness, fear, all of those things. You're not forgetting about any of those. But you have to have some joy, because when you have it, as I told you, you're nourishing yourself, and that is extremely important, to provide food and nourishment. It's like you say, well, there is something is happening outside, I have to think about it, I have to problem solve right now, and therefore I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't rest, I can't take a walk. Wrong. If you have done everything you could for that situation at that moment, you can do all of those things, because in fact they are healthy for you, they are good for you, they nourish you. Now remember, I'm not talking about unhealthy behavior, which, oh, let me go have a drink because it calms me down. No, that is unhealthy. That is creating more problems for you. But healthy joy, nature, walking, talking, music, whatever that pleases your senses, whatever brings beauty in front of you now, smells that are good, that are soothing for your senses, for your whole experience of your environment. Look at things that are beautiful in front of you. Listen to things that are beautiful, that are soothing for you. Eat things that are healthy and delicious for you. Again, with food we have to be careful not to go overboard, but things that are joyful for you, attach yourself with those things. These are healthy. This is after, as I mentioned, the stance of observing the external, then attach yourself with the joys that what that external brings for you in that moment, to nourish yourself. So when another news come in, hopefully the lab results come in good and you can celebrate, or if the news is not that great, you at least have some reservoir to fight again and to take it from there and take other steps that you need based on the information you get. So I hope this is helpful. Again, if you have any questions, you can shoot me an email at azitasach@gmail.com, or I am also part of an Instagram. You can contact me that way, and I'm more than happy to answer any question you might have. Until next video, I say goodbye to you and wishing you all the best. Bye.